country to be the next leading country in terms of digital jobs and digital transformation. And we have really embarked on programs to ensure that we revolutionize our digital, our economy by using the digital realm. And I want to say that on the area of digital jobs, the BPOs and ITES, the government has been deliberate to ensure that this is inculcated in our programs. If you look at the Vision 2030, it positions the BPO sector to be the key driver for Kenya into the fourth industrial revolution. So therefore, as a government, and the department that I head is around the digital jobs, is around the e-services, it's around e-commerce, it's around skilling. So as we go on, we'll get to know the programs that government has really put in place to ensure that we really generate jobs for our young people, and especially the marginalized groups, women and girls.
Definitely, we shall be getting into those details in a little bit. Let me bring in a query from Konza. Yep. How is Konza right now? How far have we come? Just give us a little bit of an overview of where we are currently.
Thank you very much, Betty, for having us for this brief discussion on the digital jobs space. As Konza Technopolis, we are the platform within which, as a country, Kenya, we will be establishing the infrastructural environment and platform that will improve our digital job space. As Konza Technopolis, we've been able to master plan a smart city, and we are currently establishing a smart city from scratch, from a greenfield. We've been able to complete the master planning of the city, and currently phase one of the horizontal infrastructure of Konza Technopolis is complete. And we have also been able to establish the digital platform in as far as data storage through a national data center, a state-of-the-art national data center facility that is also complete and operational. We are currently hosting government cloud and also hosting private enterprises in Konza National Data Center, a platform which has provided us with the ability to provide an environment for innovation and improving our startup ecosystem, and basically providing the storage for the data. And you know, data is the oil of today. So as Konza Technopolis, we are ready with the platform to help the country establish itself as an innovation hub.
An innovation hub.
Yes.
I like that you've brought up the issue of startups. Of course, Mercy, when we talk about startups and SMEs, we cannot ignore the role, considering how much SMEs support Kenya's economy. So do tell us your thoughts on enabling the SME sector to take up these digital jobs.
So if you look at the digital transformation that we're seeing in Kenya, we're still at an early stage, you know. If you track to when we first laid the first sea cable, you know, back in 2009, 2010, we've really taken different leaps and bounds. So now we're doing much more in terms of linking different businesses and even actually solving different challenges that are even in the community. And that also is a way of ensuring that we're driving innovation by using technology to innovate in terms of different products and services, as a way of also capturing the emerging consumer trends and also gathering insights on how behavior change is happening across a different consumer base. But also importantly is helping different categories of communities actually use technology to actually start thinking about entrepreneurship as an alternative means for survival or livelihood. An example is if you look at the graduates that actually are coming out of the university, we're actually pushing out more than 20,000 qualified and learned graduates into the economy, but there are no jobs. And so the digital economy has the opportunity to absorb all of them, whereby they could actually be the ones offering the product or service, or they could actually be the entrepreneur where they create these different jobs where they can absorb more talent into that economy. And so if you're looking at all the different products and services that have been churned out, technology plays an enabler role across all the different sectors. So if you're a small, medium enterprise, then you're actually leveraging the product and service at an affordable rate because the startup is able to innovate, you know, looking at your HR, looking at your operations, looking at even how you do your customer acquisition and management, also looking at how you're tracking your financial systems. An SME can pay as little as 1,000 Kenya shillings just to be able to automate their operations, and that gives them a competitive advantage.
Those are very important pointers, and of course the beauty about digital jobs is that it gets out, I mean, it kills the barriers of geographical locations. You can be here, work for a company in Norway remotely, and you're good. So Mary, I'd like to hear from you. We've seen the Jitume Digital Labs by government, the Ajira Digital Program as well. I'd like us to now get into those programs and what has been achieved so far. Mary, please.
Thank you so much, Betty. If you recall, 4 years back, we started the issue or advocating for digital jobs. And the Ministry of ICT looked at how can we prepare our youths for digital jobs. And as we've heard, if you look at our universities, they are more of theoretical and they're not matching the market. So we are producing graduates, and when they come out, they are not able to really be absorbed in terms of the digital realm. So therefore, we embarked on training the youth to be ready for the digital jobs. So currently, we started with the Ajira centers, and to date we have 110 Ajira centers. And in these Ajira centers, the young people are coming in and being skilled, and after they get the skills to go online. As we've said, you can still work for a company in US, in UK, but you're still in Kenya, and you start earning. So therefore, we've been able to train around 14,000 youths, and they have been attached to jobs. But we want to move this a notch higher, and that's why government has planned to have the 1,450 Jitume hubs. And we are going to amalgamate all these hubs to be called either Jitume hubs or Kenya hubs. We are going to look for a name so that any youth who walks into either an Ajira center or a Jitume center, they will be able to be skilled and be prepared for jobs. We are also moving a notch higher, where we are saying, can we partner with the private sector, where they tell us, what are these services that they are ready to outsource? Currently, the private sector is not in the business of employing people to sit in their companies. They want to outsource what is not their mandate. So therefore, we are speaking, we are having a conversation. What are these services that you would like to outsource? Can you promise how many jobs you can provide if we train the youths geared towards your service? For example, if it is software development, a company will tell us, I would want a set of software developers who will develop my products. So we will bring in the youths into the digital hubs. They get trained to be software developers. And after the training, the job is ready. And this is really revolutionizing the area of jobs creation, because we are no longer telling our youths that you need to be employed in a very big company for you to earn. You will still earn when you are at your doorstep. And if only you get the correct skills, you match the market. And government also, on top of that, if we are going to be digital, then we need to put the infrastructure that enables our youths, our women, and the entire citizenry to really access these jobs and access the services. As we said, technology is really touching lives, and it's changing the way we do business. So therefore, government has embarked on an ambitious project of making sure there is connectivity countrywide. And we are taking connectivity to the homes. So company, just sit where you are, you have connectivity, you have access to the job, you do it. And you can see in the digital jobs, it has been diversified. We have the fintechs, we have the agri-techs, the health techs. Solutions are being built to solve real problems. And therefore, there is a lot of jobs that our youths can embark on getting if they get the right skills.
If they get the right skills. Mercy, when you're dealing with the SMEs and the startups, what have you seen in terms of their skilling? Are these programs working? Is there something that we need to tweak to ensure that we are meeting the market needs? Please do tell.
So when we're looking at supporting entrepreneurs or startups, SMEs or MSMEs, even actually large corporations also do come to our network seeking for that extra advantage in the market space. We actually try to provide a holistic support. So ASEC being an ecosystem builder and also a convener of different innovation hubs across the 47 counties in Kenya. And also we are very happy to partner with Konza and the ministry just to ensure that the G2 hubs also have sustainability beyond the life cycle. But what we do is that we pair the entrepreneur with a trainer and a coach, meaning that they actually have specialized services that actually is helping them build the right kind of business that can serve the identified customer. The rule of business that we've seen in the startup ecosystem is that many startups fail because they actually build something that no one wants. Just because you're technically good at that, delivering on that service or building that product, then you assume that the customer wants it. But actually, you need to be more customer-centric. So throughout the capacity building program that we design, it's normally between 3 months to a year, looking at how can you help the entrepreneur, one, have a very entrepreneurial mindset, meaning that you can actually take challenges and turn them into commercial opportunities. And then the second one also is looking at how can you actually be customer centric, meaning your entire business model offering, even your value proposition, even your marketing, your website, everything that you interact with the customer, it must be customer focused first. So easy interaction and also easy to access your product and service. And that's why Madam Mary has talked about the e-commerce platform. Now you've seen the growth of the food delivery businesses. It wasn't there 5 years ago, but now it's actually the best business to invest in because it actually is addressing a customer pain point. The other thing that also we are seeing that is still lacking in the capacity building program is funding. Now we have been building their technical capacity and also helping them create teams around the founders so that they would actually be able to sustain the business and also grow and scale. But the aspect of funding is still lacking. And the reason I say that is because an SME would come and say, I have an LPO, you know, an actual order from a customer, but they do not have the cash flow. You know, and it's as little as even 200,000 Kenya shillings all the way up to 5 million. Some of the banks are not as easy to access financing from, or even the different circles, and that's why even as ASEC we've been trying to say, how can we catalyze local capital? How can we get Betty, John, Mary and Mercy be actually the investors who invest back into the local businesses? But at the same time also we need to create a conducive environment where we attract foreign investors with large financing to actually come in and fund these SMEs and startups directly. And with that we can actually see a catalytic effect whereby the SME actually is actually meeting the market demand and they have the cash flow to meet it. Therefore they can go and create more jobs and even scale not only within Kenya, but also we can talk about the East Africa community, which actually is more than 400 million people. So it's time that also we change the the game dynamics where we can start thinking Pan-African and also global markets. But funding, I'd say, is the biggest pain point that we actually are facing in the area of supporting startups and SMEs.
Right. I think you've brought up very important pointers which we'll be discussing. Okwiri, when you have, or rather Konza has attracted both international and local players.
Yes.
What do you see in terms of understanding of the local market? She has said that some companies, they do the job great, but they are not in touch with the market that they are dealing with. What have you seen in this space?
Yeah, that is basically what has been happening with the local ecosystem, because you find that we've not created that ecosystem where we are able to link. We provide linkages between the industry, government, and also the academia, those who are doing the research. We've not invested in research as a country. And therefore, as Konza Technopolis, what we've done is to establish that platform in the name of Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, which is going to focus on research, the research ecosystem, so that we have many of our academia and researchers focusing on problem solving, so that for the startups who want to engage in business, they should be able to engage in a business that has already been well thought through from end to end, in that the moment they get into that business and they're able to get the funding, necessary funding that is needed for the startup to be commercialized, then we are sure that it is a business that is going to grow and revolutionize on how we are solving our problems and commercializing and earning revenue. And that's why, as Konza Technopolis, through the knowledge economy, we will be able to commercialize knowledge and create a paradigm shift in as far as we are shifting from the usual conventional economic metrics in as far as industrialization and agriculture into knowledge-based economy, where we will be able to provide and achieve more commercialization and revenue from knowledge, as opposed to the usual agriculture and industry. And that, if done properly, the way we've created the environment, then we'll be able to have more revenue coming into the economy and thereby improving our digital economy. If you look at countries that have been able to do this in the right way, such as Korea, Malaysia, Singapore, you find that their economy is no longer industry-based or agriculture-based, but it is more of innovation, technology, and a country like Malaysia, you find that digital economy contribute up to 24% of their GDP. And as a country, that is the direction that we want our country to go, so that we can create more job opportunities for our young people, as opposed to what we've been accustomed to in terms of agriculture and industry.
Right.
Yeah.
Clearly, we have barely scratched the surface in terms of meeting our potential in terms of our digital economy. Mary, I'd like to hear from you, even as we train these young people. Mercy mentioned the issue of them being entrepreneurs in this field. How are we enabling them to do that, to seek out the opportunities and actually provide solutions?
How we are enabling the young people, of course, skilling is number one. And number two, we are also partnering with our development partners who really have funds in terms of skilling. But we are also partnering with these companies, international companies, who have ready jobs to really help us to also try to make sure that we are training the youth to get these jobs, to be ready for the market. Number two, we are also partnering with the social media owners. And we are telling them, our youths are very vibrant. You can see what is going on. They are very vibrant and very techno-savvy in the area of social media. So we are saying, can these social media owners also monetize the issues of content, so that this content is aligned in areas to do with marketing, areas to do with graphic, areas to do with animations, because there are people who are interested in animating their products. I know a company like Coca-Cola is using social media and using the followers who have very high, big numbers of followers to market their products. And you see these youths are earning. So again, government is being intentional, asking ourselves hard questions, because maybe we've been meeting the youths in our own environment. We need to move to their own environment and then ask ourselves, how can we make them entrepreneurs in their environment? Again, if you look at how the digital skills and the partnership we are doing now, we are encouraging youth to be co-creators, to solve real life problems. And when they sit and co-create solutions, government is saying, we are ready to really partner also with you to move your innovations a notch higher in terms of government will be the first consumer of your products. Then we also prepare you. How can you be selling your product globally, internationally? So we are partnering with the Ministry of Trade, Can Invest. How can we sell the digital products globally? So therefore, we are really being deliberate on these issues to do with digital jobs, because it's a very fertile land that we have not even accrued even 10% of it. And that is why government is really doing a lot around this. And I know in the next few years, Kenya will be a transformed country in terms of every youth, every person, every citizenry will be earning from the digital realm.
Right, exporting the digital jobs. We shall be talking about what makes Kenya very attractive in that sense in just a little bit. Remember, we are talking about Kenya's digital agenda, how far we have come in the journey towards the digital transformation and ensuring that we are a frontier in the region in terms of technology. While this is BizCheck, we want to take a quick break. Remember that I am with a very able panel here. Mary Kerema, who is the Secretary of E-Government and Digital Economy, John Paul Okwiri, CEO, Konza Technopolis Development Authority, and Mercy Kimalat, who is the CEO of Startups and SMEs Enablers Kenya. When we come back, Byron Abuli, who is on the sign language interpretation, and myself will continue with this conversation. Do stay with us.
Alongside Thika Road stands the budding JK Smart Farming Services. Here, we meet Joseph Kinywa, a graduate from Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. He leads me into the smart farm. Inside, one can think it is a normal kitchen garden. Rather, it is a modern smart farm with propagated seedlings in vertical bags, multi-story gardens and hydroponic system with variety of vegetable seedlings and fruits like cucumber, fennel and Japanese spinach. Apart from the vertical bags, he has also put up a greenhouse with over 200,000 hybrid seedlings propagated in black trays, each holding 200 seedlings. And here, a gear up to get a demonstration on how to water the seedlings. It is in this small vicinity that Joseph took the initiative to create a job for himself, even though it was not a walk in the park.
We started with the 2 greenhouses with 100 trays only, which was donated from one of my professors in JKUAT, or in a club we call Horticulture Student Association.
The main part of his work is propagating hybrid seedlings using cocoa-peat medium. This, he says, is a unique way of achieving quality seedlings.
Kikura coconut kuna the outer husk. So hiyo outer husk inakuwa crush. Ikikuwa crush ina produce now the media. which inaitwa cocoa pit ama grow pit. We get the cocoa pit, iko na something inaitwa EC ama electric conductivity, which is very high. So we are going to take it, we treat it. Ikikuwa tayari, tunaweka kwa tray, zinaitwa planting trays. We put a single seedling per cell.
He also propagates the seedlings in different parts of the country depending on the climate of an area.
Tunakuja tunaangalia shamba yako. Kila mmea ama every plant do well in a specific area. Kuna cool crop na kuna warm season crop.
He adds that through his hard work, he has been able to employ 2 permanent workers and even interns from various institutions in the country, giving a chance of employment to the youth.
On a temporary basis, we have created over 3,000 jobs to different people. Like for example, we are doing recently, we were in Kericho doing installation of irrigation system. We need 20 people. I cannot do installation alone.
Among them is Saoko Quinta, a second year at Chief from Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology.
Tangu nikuje huku, I've experienced so many things, how to propagate different vegetables and spices, herbs, which has motivated me as an agricultural student.
Even though starting the JK Smart Farming Services was a challenge, Kinywa says he never gave up and now he is able to sell the seedlings countrywide.
Nikianza, nilisema like hapa hii place haikuwa na maji. So maji nilikuwa nachota na wheelbarrow for 6 months. Kama hakuna kitu tunauza hapa, hakuna market. Na hiyo maji nachota 1 kilometer to and from. Namwagia huo wakati tulikuwa na greenhouses 2. So ninachota na mwagia. Wakati mwingine nikapanda hizo begu, nikakosa soko, nikakosa market, kupeleka soko, nikatolewa mbio na watu wenye wanauza huko. But hatuku give up kwa sababu tulikuwa tunajua mahali tunaelekea.
Securing a job in Kenya has proven to be a Herculean task, but for Joseph Kinywa, who dared to venture into smart farming, serves a lesson to the youth to make good use of their talents and time. For Young and Industrious, I'm Laureen Chepchirchir.
Thank you for staying with us. This is BizCheck, and in studio I have Mary Karema, who is the Secretary in charge of e-government and digital economy, John Paul Okwiri, the CEO, Konza Technopolis Development Authority, and Mercy Kimalat, CEO, Startups and SMEs and Enablers of Kenya. And we are talking about Kenya's digital agenda. Thank you very much for staying with us.
Thank you.
Mary, I'd like to throw this one to you. Why is Kenya very attractive in terms of in the tech space to the entire world, you know, companies coming in here? And I think Okwiri, you'll also answer that question because you deal with them as well.
Of course.
Please.
Yes, I think why Kenya is very attractive is that we have a young generation that forms the majority of our population. Number 2 is that Kenyans are really savvy in languages. And I was just giving an example of a company, a US company that are set in Kenya, and it is employing youths. And when we went there, the English the youths are speaking, you will even ask yourself, when did this youth finish school in US or UK? And we are told, no, they have just been working here. So Kenya has a talent, a rich talent, that even the international companies have recognized that Kenya can really enable them to thrive or their business to thrive. I think Kenya also, we are dedicated. We are passionate with what we do. So you give a Kenyan a job, they will do it good. And so they know if they have a Kenyan in their companies, they will know that they will make ends meet. So therefore, I think Kenya has a rich working force, and also the positioning of Kenya, where we are positioned geographically. We are at the center of everything, and that is why we need to tap into this you know, to this advantageous positioning of Kenya to really bring jobs to our country. And we are saying we no longer have to export our children to go and look for jobs in these countries. They can sit in Kenya, earn in Kenya, and build the economy of Kenya. And therefore, government, we have embarked on an exercise to look at what is this that we can incentivize, give incentives to companies that are geared towards investing in BPOs. In terms, we are looking in terms of tax, in terms of work permits, in terms of what are these regulations or guidelines we've put in place that are really killing the investors coming to Kenya. So we are looking at all these policies and looking at, is it advantageous for us to have these policies and break or stop Kenya from growing the jobs? Or can we remove these policies so that we can encourage and motivate these companies to invest in Kenya? The Silicon Savannah, Konza is here. What is this that we are putting in place to incentivize companies to come and invest there? And this way we will grow our country, because we will grow our people in our country and improve our economy.
Thank you very much. Okwiri, as you answer that question on Kenya's attractiveness, I'd like you also to tell us what the investors who are coming in here are saying about the environment. Is it an enabling environment for business? Go ahead. Thank
you very much, Betty. When you look at our country, in as far as infrastructure is concerned, the internet connectivity in this country, you cannot compare it to any other country in most countries in Africa and even the world. We have fast internet connectivity, 5G network, and that has made us as a country to be the tech hub of innovation in East and Central Africa, and that making Kenya be the gateway to Africa. Most countries or most investors who come to invest in Africa, they find Kenya as the gateway into Africa, and that has made Kenya to be very attractive. And you realize that from the previous administrations, Kenya has really invested in infrastructure in as far as internet connectivity is concerned, undersea cables that have been all connected to our country, providing redundancies, and therefore in most cases you find that our internet uptime is always up and making us be real-time in as far as the global village is concerned. So that has made it possible for us as a country to be attractive to investors. In as far as Kenya being attractive investment destination, yes, we are an attractive investment destination. In as far as connectivity is concerned, you find that our Kenya Airways flies almost all destinations that investors will be coming from. You find that our Kenyans in the diaspora are also very committed to building our nation through remittances, making us an attractive destination. And also our democracy. Kenya is a democratic country and very peaceful. And this, you know, is attracting investors in as far as stability is concerned. And these are items that as a country, we really hold dear to us. Kenya has also invested in the Africa Silicon Savannah. That is Konza Technopolis. And this speaks into the future. What does the future look like for us as a country? And through Konza Technopolis, we are able to see the vision of the country, that we are forward-looking, and we believe that when we get everything in place and in the right manner, then as a country we are going to go forward and we are going to revolutionize the way we've always looked at our economy. Through Konza Technopolis, we are looking into the future of knowledge-based economy, moving away from the conventional industry and economic metrics. And this is very attractive. And investors, when they come and find that as a country we've invested into the future, then that makes it attractive for them and making us very forward-looking. Yeah.
Forward-looking. Mercy, you work with the innovators, the people who actually come up with solutions for the problems that we have here. We have seen quite some funding coming into the Kenyan startup scene in the past few years, but we have also seen some startups crashing, you know, after getting some massive investments. What would you say is the issue there? What is the problem, and how can we ensure that we have more innovations such as M-Pesa, you know, that outlive, you know, live over decades after they are innovated, please?
Yeah, thanks, Betty. That's a very thorny issue.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking at all the amount of investments coming into the Kenyan, actually technology space, right? So it's holistic. But fintech has been leading. It's more than $1.1 billion, right? And this is mostly foreign capital coming into the country to fund the startups to scale out of Kenya and into other African countries or set up in other countries in Europe or America. And so with that kind of investment, of course, there's need for these startups who have never seen that much capital coming to the business still being supported. And that's why the work that our members are doing, the entrepreneur support organizations or the innovation hubs, is that they do a journey, they map out a journey for the entrepreneur or the founder to walk through even as they're attracting all these different investments. Now, investment that is directed towards serving short-term goals or personal initiatives of the founder, of course the business will collapse because the investment ideally is commercial. Therefore, it needs to be going back into the business to build up the product or service, or even set up an R&D, research and development department, to continuously understand what are the trends happening, and even also looking at what is the global demand looking like, and then investing into the systems and structures or the processes in place to help them scale. The other thing that also the investment is supposed to cater is the issue around talent. So we know in the startup ecosystem that accessing talent is very expensive, and they do not actually have that kind of cash flow, because remember, they're still trying to figure out what is the product market fit. So it's a continuous iterative prototyping stage where they're continuously trying to find that perfect fit. But because they're not able to identify clearly what that perfect fit is, then most of their funding or their cash flow is going back into the building of the product or refining their service. And that's why the investment comes in as an alternative financing to really cater to the pillars of the business, you know, looking at your operations, looking at your talent, looking at your structures, and also looking at your markets. And if you're looking at some of the startups that came, that actually received funding and were able to scale to more than 10 countries, they did it in a span of less than actually 4 years and below. And with that comes different constraints. So what we've seen from our different discussions with the different founders and also a bit of studies is that when an SME or a startup is scaling into another country, they need to be educated on the policy environment that also is there, right? So whatever was working in Kenya is not the same policy environment there. There could be different form of taxation. It also could be double taxation. That's why we're also trying to make the policy conversation to become East African conversations instead of only looking at Kenya, because one policy in the East African community can also affect whatever happens in the Kenyan space. So the policy environment is very different. Therefore, they need to restructure their compliance and regulation costs, because that also could eat up the investment. And then also looking at the team that they're bringing on board, right? So if you are a founding team that is very young and still trying to build your capacity, and then you bring on board someone who's very specialized and highly skilled, then of course there can be a friction in terms of how then do we run the organization. And that's why we have conflict, like management between the different the founding teams, because also again the investors are coming in as a team member within the business. So again, even our members, the ESOs, are now training founders on how to work with multicultural teams, right? Because the investment is coming from foreign companies. So how do you work with a multicultural team? How do you ensure you resolve conflicts? How do you ensure communication is still flowing within the organization? And I bring that point because there's so many things that the teams can be seeing on the ground, but because of a lack of a clear communication feedback loop, then the founder assumes that the business is thriving, yet actually the customers are complaining, right? And because of that lack of communication within the organization. The other bigger thing is also looking at the type of funding that they're receiving. So they're funding that is venture capital, then that you must give a return on investment. You have to sign on the dot that within 5 years, this amount needs to go back to the investor. And that is why also we say that we provide advisory to the founder before you sign the investment deal, that you need to understand the terms and conditions. If you're operating in the healthcare sector where it's heavily regulated versus the agriculture sector, then the terms can be different, right? Because if you're looking at one sector that has heavy regulation compliance needs, that could take you almost 2 years, versus if you're in an agriculture sector or even in the ICT space where you can log in anywhere and access a diversified pool of users within even 2 days. That's different. So those kind of dynamics have to be integrated in terms of advisory to these founders. The other thing that also is looking at the vision of the organization. So you find, and it's actually a study that we've seen, most, let me just say Kenyan, most Kenyan or most African founders, they really hold on to their business too tightly. So when it comes to getting an investor on board, they come with a mindset of scale. They come with a mindset of, let's replicate this in 500 geographies in 5 years. Because if you look at the essence of a startup is a highly replicable business model that is leveraging technology. And technology that doesn't only necessarily mean ICT, it could also be the hardware that also has embedded technology, meaning that it can actually operate in any environment without necessarily having the founder or their team being present to train the consumer on how to use the product. Right. But if the founder does not have that kind of mindset of scaling and rapid growth, then it becomes a hindrance. So when it comes to making tough business decisions, they will actually want to withhold and take the conservative route, which is also tied to our own culture. But there's a need to now think about business in a different way. If you look at what's happening, we had floods in March, and now we have civil unrest and many other issues. These are all opportunities for business entrepreneurs to pivot their businesses, meaning if you are selling, let's say, beauty products, you could actually identify that there's a new angle that the consumers are looking for. Or you can actually now look at TikTok as the ultimate social media channel to sell. But if you're not willing to adapt and be flexible on how business is actually happening on the ground, then for sure your business will collapse. And unfortunately, we've seen these fantastic startups that have fundraised a lot of money. They have put Kenya on the global map. In terms of Kenya, the innovation ranking in Africa, Kenya is second after Nigeria. But with the closing down of these startups, and even some of the SMEs that have been relying on these startups to provide the service, then we've seen a huge loss of jobs that has now come back into the economy. And now we're seeing also the informal economy also increasing, which also is not a very good thing, because we need to find a way to build businesses that are formally registered so that they can access more capital. But if we have many of these SMEs and startups closing down because of maybe harsher regulation policies that are coming up, for example, I have to mention that the finance bill did have a few that wanted to increase the cost of compliance, then it becomes a challenge for the startups and SMEs to really thrive. And that also becomes a challenge for the investor to still invest in the same environment, because they too are lacking incentives. Right. So if there's a way to provide an investor visa whereby they can access a rebate or an incentive, then that can also still keep them motivated to invest in the Kenyan startups and SMEs.
Right. I see Okwiri and Mary here nodding very seriously. I'm sure you have thoughts on what Mercy has just said. We want to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we shall be hearing from Mary and Okwiri. Do stay with us.
Safaricom, proud sponsor of Team Kenya at the Olympics.
Well, Kenya ran out at the beginning of this game, knowing that they need in for Corey Toole. However, co-captain Tony Amondi swung and hit a home run to make it 7 points apiece. However, in the second half, Australia stretching away. We're seeing the tries, but Kenya had already...
Safaricom, proud sponsor of Team Kenya at the Olympics.
To you children, you are special as you are in the eyes of Jesus.
Hapa ni Pangani ambapo tumeingia bwaloni kusikiliza wamejiandaa namna gani.
Kukurukakara ni vigogo wa Kiswahili Pangani.
Wanawake wana uhuru wa kuvalia jinsi wapendavyo. Kwani iko nini?
Kama wanaume wanao uhuru wa kuvaa wanachotaka, basi wanawake pia wapewe uhuru wa kuvaa wanachotaka.
Dunia ya sasa hakuna mwanamke ambaye atapewa uhuru wa kuvalia anavyotaka kisha avalie nguo ya adabu. Wanawake watavalia nguo ambazo haziwasitiri uchi. Hivyo matokeo ni nini?
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat. Wagwan, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth way the vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Konza,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunongwa Hadija ai Mani especially ukisonga.
Thank you for watching KBC Channel 1. This is BizCheck. My name is Betty Kiptum, and in studio I have Mary Karema, Secretary in charge of e-government and digital economy, John Paul Okwiri, CEO, Konza Technopolis Development Authority, as well as Mercy Kimalat, who is the CEO, Startups and SMEs Enablers Kenya. Thank you for staying with us, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
So, before we went on break, Mercy gave us a thesis, so to say,
a thesis.
of startups and SMEs in Kenya. Now, Mary, I'd like to throw the question to you in terms of supporting SMEs, startups, to grow to the position where the big boys are, you know, instead of just offering incentives and all that to the big boys. What are we doing to support the small guys to grow to that position?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think government is also supporting startups because currently you come to the Ministry of ICT and it is parastatals. They have departments that are really geared towards innovation and entrepreneurship. And we are calling in the entrepreneurs to come and partner with government. As I said, like myself, I'm a mentor. If you know the presidential digital talent, we usually bring in young people and we give them an environment, a conducive environment to innovate. And once they innovate with our advice, they're able to come up with products that really solve real issues. Because you asked the question, why are startups die? It's because they're not targeted to solve real issues. we are not looking at the demand side and come up with startups that really solve these issues, so that the demand is there, continuous demand. And, you know, as Mercy said, is that, you see, they come in to solve one thing at that particular time. There's no continuity. And therefore, we are also educating the entrepreneurs. Things have changed. We are no longer doing things the way our forefathers used to do. So therefore, can we be agile enough? If I started with the beauty products, or I started manufacturing spare parts, can I also look at the digital arena and see how can I still use my skills, but also offer my services digitally? Look at the way government has now gone online. A lot of data is being produced. We're producing open data. We need to position the innovators and entrepreneurs need to position themselves and ask themselves, where is the trend? What would be my niche in terms of tapping into the digital arena? And I give an example on issues to do with graphic design or animations. KBC here, you're also moving digital. And you might not employ all the graphical designers. So I can offer my service as a service. You don't have to employ me. You give me the work, I do it for you, I push it back to you, and I'm able to tap into another ecosystem. Issues to do with content creation. Content creation is no longer oral or text, it's digital. So therefore, we are training the innovators and the entrepreneurs that can you look at these upcoming opportunities. E-commerce. Look at how we have revolutionized the way we buy our products. I no longer have to go to the supermarket. Just sit at home, order online, and delivery is done. So issues to do even innovating around the transport system, the delivery system. That's a niche. Marketing these products. If I am a manufacturer of a product, I don't have to delabor. How am I going to market my product? Use the social media. Tap into the big influencers, and I'm able to sell. So therefore, it's that we need to train our innovators and entrepreneurs to be agile. With the changing world, they need to also change and also look globally. What is this that is required? So that our solutions, once we do them, they are easy to be tapped into the market. And also look for sustainability. Kenya is also looking at, through Konza, investing into manufacturing. We want to manufacture our own chips. We want to ensure that we can also make sure that our citizenry are equipped. Like smartphones, we are now manufacturing affordable devices. So government is not sleeping, because we are also reading. We are also having exchange programs with countries that have really thrived in this ecosystem. And we are asking, what is it that we are not doing right? Like I gave the example of now looking at what are the incentives that we can put in place to attract these companies, because other countries have done it. South Africa has done it. Philippines have done it. So why can't Kenya do it? Because we are in a position where globally, everybody is looking at Kenya. So we are saying it is high time we tap into that opportunity, or somebody else would run with it.
It is our time now. Okwiri, I'd like to, because behind all this technology, you know, the digital jobs and all that, there is the infrastructure that underlies the technology that we use. Where are we in terms of our digital infrastructure journey, and how stable are we? You know, the other day we had that internet was down because of, you know, a cable that was affected somewhere. So how stable are we in terms of ensuring that our infrastructure is strong?
Okay, as a country, we are in a better position, though we can still make it better, even better than where we are today. When you look at the digital transformation agenda of the government, we are looking at the fifth pillar, which is talking about digital superhighway. And it's talking about 100,000 kilometers of fiber optic. That is connectivity to the last mile, connectivity. And currently, when you look at that, it is something that is going to transform our country in the next in the next 3 years in a way that we would have never imagined before. Because it means we will be having internet connected to our homes. And that in itself will have a tremendous effect in as far as opening up the digital space. Because it means we will be enabled to create jobs for ourselves within our homes. And that means we will be opening up the revenue space and opening up our GDP. When you look at that also, the government through the digital superhighway is also creating 1,450 digital hubs. That means one digital hub per ward. And a ward is the lowest administrative unit of our country. And that means that we'll be creating opportunities for our young people to access to access the world through the global village and internet in our villages. And this means that we'll be able to create job opportunities for our young people. And one of the areas that also the digital superhighway speaks to is skilling and reskilling. And that's why we have the Kiptum Digital Enablement Program, which has now begun the process of providing devices in as far as equipping our youth with the devices is concerned, connecting our TVET institutions, which was part of the phase 1, where we are connecting, providing devices, connecting internet to our TVET institution, and also training and reskilling our youth to be ready to take advantage of this digital platform in as far as digital jobs is concerned. So as a government also, we are working to provide linkages of the already trained young people with the digital jobs platform. And you've been seeing His Excellency the President moving from each hub to the next hub, and we are able to provide testimonials of the young people who are already benefiting from this digital jobs platform that has already been created. The youths have been trained, they have been provided with the opportunity of devices, and they've also been able to we've also been able to link them with this digital job platform, so they're able to do the job and earn the money and make a living for themselves. Mm-hmm. And the testimonials have been provided all over. And remember, this is just phase 1 of the project. We will be moving into phase 2, where we are working with the MPs and the NGCDF, where now the MPs in each and every constituency is now establishing community hubs for these young people. So in the next 1 to 2, 3 years, you'll find that we'll be able to absorb all the youth who are in the villages and are able to get the skilling and are able to be linked with these digital jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the new trends that are coming up in the tech space. Of course, the technology space moves very quickly. If you received training last year, you're probably due for another training already. Yeah. So I want to throw this one to Mercy. As someone prepares to get into the digital space, as a founder or as a worker in that space, how do you ensure that you're continuously upskilling, please?
So if you look at what's happening now, like John mentioned about the knowledge economy, we are seeing different emerging technologies come up. So right now we're talking about artificial intelligence. We're talking about cybersecurity, which also was a very nascent and very young sector, but now it's now growing. We also have blockchain. We also have the data economy. So there are many opportunities that are also coming up. But now lies the challenge whereby at the global level they are advanced because they are in developed countries, right? And Kenya is still an emerging economy. So what we're trying to do is actually have different partners, both global and also local, to ensure that we have that knowledge transfer whereby we're training people on cybersecurity, AI, and blockchain. One thing that we did recently was partner with GFA Consulting and also the GIZ, whereby we trained 100 innovation hubs to now be upskilled on cybersecurity and also availing to them a toolkit that they can also use to refresh themselves continuously. Now the goal for us now was to push them now and deploy them into the different counties to train more than 3,000 SMEs and startups on cybersecurity. Because what you realize is that even you as a consumer, when you're shopping in online, you need to also be aware of the different websites to use so that you're not hacked, your financial information also is not leaked. So for that to happen and for the SME to inform you of those kind of safeguards, then that's where our members come in to actually provide that kind of training and ensure that we actually provide the right platforms that the SMEs and startups can actually trade on that are verified and trusted. The other thing that also we're doing is that we've gone back into the university. So we've partnered with the Inter-University Council of Eastern Africa that brings together all higher educational institutions across the 8 countries in East Africa, because Somalia recently joined, and also partnering with the GIZ East Africa community. The goal for this now is to look at how do we support the region become digitally prepared to tap into those opportunities. Now I mentioned about Kenya, we have a very high unemployment rate. Within the East Africa community, it's even worse. Because you have other countries like Burundi, Burundi, you have Rwanda, you have DRC, Congo, you have Somalia, and many other countries that are actually lagging behind after Kenya. So what we're trying to do now is to actually train more than 300 young innovators in the university, building their entrepreneurial and also digital skills, so that even as they're graduating, they have an existing prototype or a commercialized product or service that they can go into the market. And we're asking the different industry players to actually partner very closely with the universities and also the different innovation hubs across Kenya and also across East Africa to be able to provide that access to market. But also what we've realized is that government actually is the biggest buyer for products and services, and that is where now the opportunities for procurement comes in. Is there a way that the Kenyan government can create a simplified framework whereby they have a special act like we've seen with AGPO, where you target women and youth, but for now this one is targeting the startups and even the young SMEs to directly provide services to government, and ensuring that also there's a 30-day, hopefully, there's a 30-day payment life cycle whereby if the SME or startup delivers a service, then they can get timely payment so they can continuously do that. And Mary has talked about how they've been able to provide those kind of opportunities. So it's just looking at how can we provide that as a scale-up as well. The other thing that also that we still need to do is providing more support for these innovation hubs, because remember they have trainers, they have coaches and mentors that are working very closely with the startups and SMEs. They too need to be upskilled. And what we've been trying to do is develop annual needs assessment reports whereby we're able to understand their digitization capacity. We did that back in 2022 and also developed a report that is also on our website, that's rsec.ke, but also looking at how can we develop a portal whereby we have an ecosystem portal where people can come and contribute their knowledge, their research papers that the professors are producing. Also looking at industry, because they have different online courses that we can tap into. A clear example is that we have Google, we have IBM and Microsoft that already have micro-learning courses that can be leveraged by the youth because they're actually free. So you just have to have an account, and within 2 weeks, you actually have a certificate on AI fundamentals or blockchain or even digital marketing, which you can start commercializing immediately. But there's a need for that kind of harmonized support to be able to actually achieve that. And all of this is actually anchored within policy. So because we understand that policy outlives organizations and even governments, then looking at policy as an enabling instrument to actually be able to
to harness the industry and academia partnership, to also look at how to increase more procurement opportunities for SMEs and startups within government, but also looking at the digital agenda as a country as a whole, because we have the digital master plan that's supposed to guide us for the next 10 years. So all of this can be anchored within policy. And what we've been trying to do as ASEC, because policy is our key pillar, is bringing the counties more closely to what we are doing. Yes, we have the national agenda, whereby also we've partnered with the Ministry of Investments and Trade and Industry, which is MITI, and we're partnering on the project called Kenya Entrepreneurship Project, which is KIEP, and that is looking at how can we build the capacities of the innovation hubs, but also building capacities of the county government officials. So if you're looking at the trade department, looking at the investment department within the county, then ASEC can actually deploy its members who have been trained to go and offer that kind of training to government to ensure that they are creating a local thriving entrepreneurship culture, so that we have more entrepreneurs coming out of Bomet, we have entrepreneurs coming out of Wajir, more coming out of Lamu and across the country, and not only Nairobi, Kisumu and Mombasa, but actually increasing more cities of innovation within the country. Right. And that now will have a harmonized approach in terms of driving a consolidated digital economy agenda, and that really will set us apart in terms of accessing global opportunities.
Right, thank you. Mary, I'd like you to answer to what she has talked about in terms of harmonizing the efforts of national government, county government, development partners, and all the other partners that there are. What are you doing to ensure that all these, there's harmony in the efforts instead of, you know, working in silos?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think our anchoring policy document is the Digital Master Plan. And the Digital Master Plan is speaking into coherence, it's speaking into the whole of government approach, and therefore we have programs that have been put in place to ensure government speaks with one language. Number two is to ensure that ICT investment is coordinated and reduce a lot of duplication. So there are policies and guidelines that have been produced that is going to bring the country together. So that, for example, if the national government has invested in a system, there is no need for the county to still go at it alone. And not only the county, even within ourselves, you find that every institution is doing things in silos. Therefore, there is a deliberate move that the government will look at government in a holistic manner, in sector-wide manner, instead of looking at health as Ministry of Health. We are saying, can Ministry of Health call all the stakeholders together and ask, have a conversation. What is the solution that we can put in place to serve all of us? Number two, on the issue of investment and development partners, in the same guidelines, we are saying for any ICT investment, the coordinator is the Ministry of ICT. So that if today you want to invest in skills, so once you come to the ministry, we'll tell you the area that has not been tapped into is, for example, AI. So therefore you retool or you redirect your funding to where it pains most, instead of just going to duplicate what GIZ has done, what UNESCO has done. So we are trying to coordinate all these partners, and currently we've been signing MOUs. The investors or the donors and the partners are signing MOUs with the ministry. So we have feasibility, which partner is doing what. And we already have our strategies and plans laid out. For example, in the digital skills and the question that you've just asked, Mercy, that how do we ensure that we also keep to date with the changing technology, because technology is very volatile. It changes every day. And you can see people are talking about AI, blockchain, and internet. It's no longer Internet of Things. It's Internet of everything. So therefore, can we afford to remain where we are and things are changing? So even in government, we have deliberately embarked on putting in policies strategies. Currently, we are doing policy around the emerging technologies and artificial intelligence. We are doing also the strategies. How can we jump frog? Because other countries have been there. And you see, with AI, if you are not careful as Kenya and Africa, then we are going to adapt models that have worked in other countries and not domesticated to our environment. And that's why we are saying upskilling and retooling is a continuous process. And we've put programs in place, even for the digital hubs. If you look at where we started with Ajira, with the Jitume coming in, we are revolutionizing even the training, the curriculum, to fit the market. I was in a Nigeria center in Mombasa, and you could see how the youths have really revolutionized in terms of tapping into the digital realm. I met this young person who was doing an online job in animating or generating a model based on AI to train basketballers. So technology, the digital economy is really changing and revolutionizing the whole world. And it is not that, of course, people have the reservation that if we continue embracing these emerging technologies and changing with the technology, that it will render people jobless. I'll tell you, there will be more jobs than we can even feed into.
That's true.
Because if we are animating all these things, building models, building chatbots, I mean, who will do it? We'll just need to transform. If you used to do this manually, change with times, becomes digital, so that you are able to fit in. And that's why government is not being left behind. We are moving with the technology, we are moving with the people, we are moving with the citizenry. If you can look at the master plan, we have an ambitious project to train the citizenry. Apart from targeting the youth, who are the majority and are really well skilled, we are also not leaving any citizen behind. And that's why we have an ambitious program to train the citizenry on even how to tap into the online services. We say we are going e-citizen. We've put everything online. How will Mama Mboga or my grandfather and grandmother at home access these services? If I take online the pension or I take online this old people fund, how will they access if they are not retrained? So therefore, government is changing and retooling itself, because government cannot be left behind, because it is the one to lead and to guide.
Right.
And also to partner with MSMEs. And another thing that government is doing is a lot of collaboration, a lot of speaking together. If we are doing policies, we call in the private sector, the MSMEs. We have a table. What is it that is paining you? What is it that you want government to change for you to thrive? And these conversations are really very healthy, so that we are not sitting in our offices and coming up with policies on our own, and then when they are published, the MSMEs, they are like, really?
That's true.
This policy is killing us. It's not even creating a conducive environment. And partnerships, collaboration is something that we've put as our top agenda.
Right, partnerships and collaborations. Thank you very much. Okwiri, I'd like to hear from you. She has mentioned some people concerned about, technology taking people's jobs.
Yes.
Konza is a smart city. Could you tell us how technology has been used there, especially the emerging technologies, and what have you seen in terms of job creation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Konza Technopolis is the innovation hub of the country, and we are providing an enabling environment for technology to thrive and innovation. This we've done through the framework that we've created with the National Data Center, where we are providing an enabling environment where we are able to work with partners and solution providers to give them a platform which they can use to innovate and scale up their innovations. And these innovations we are using to provide services to various other businesses and government, and we are able to earn revenue from these services that we are deploying together with our partners. So it has created more jobs. Technology has created more job opportunities for our young people, and also opportunities for businesses to utilize and leverage technology in scaling up and providing more opportunities and more innovations for the businesses. So technology has created more opportunities than we are thinking that it's already taking jobs from our people. So technology, and as Konza Technopolis, we are providing this enabling environment where we can provide more opportunities for people to use technology to enhance our lives. Through the National Data Center, we've provided that platform, and we are able to provide an environment for scalability. We are also working on the Digital Media City, which is a platform that will now enhance the creative economy in as far as a platform for gaming, animation, media, fashion, art and movies. So it's an opportunity that will create more job opportunity. It's a platform that will create more job opportunities for our young people through that. So as far as we are concerned with technology, it's a platform, it's something that will create more job opportunities for our people.
Awesome, thank you very much. We want to take a quick break here so that we can all sip some water, and when we come back, this conversation continues. Do stay with us.
Of Kiambu Town is this workshop, home to these extraordinary light designs. The owner is Han-Paul Gitau, who initially trained in aeronautical engineering at the East African School of Aviation and Business Management at Moi University.
It started right after I had an office job. That was back in 2021.
This lack of job satisfaction led him to nurture his childhood dream in design.
When I was young, I was a very crafty person. I used to make maps, repair radios, repair all those things. So I decided, let me tap back into that creativity. And nowadays, I make art and craft from anything that I can get my hands on.
This vision board, with photos of renowned personalities such as Marcus Aurelius, give him the philosophical dimensions in his creativity.
I'm interested in philosophy and in human potential. This is so like it all starts there. So from there is do I want to have a family? What kind of a wife do I want? I like things that are hands-on.
Most of the materials he uses, such as chains and GI pipes, are recycled, while few like ancient lamps are bought. He creates spectacular lighting concepts from them.
These are a lover, it's a romantic person trying to giving out a flower. This one is inspired by a little bit of sophistication. You see, this bulb is it's all encompassed by metal. This one is a jazz person, this is a jazz dancer. The inspiration for this is a fireman. So you can even have an option whereby we can put a beer bottle, you can even put a beer drink at the back and have it come in. So that is the idea. So we sketch it up, and then we troubleshoot which kind of materials are we going to use.
One of his proud clients reckons how the unique light stands he installed in his barber shop won the admiration of his customers.
My target market, I know who they are. Okay, they have traveled, they have seen a lot. Okay, so if they get gypsum, my friend, they will let me go back to my barber. They want to see something unique, something timeless, something that will even they will wonder, who is that guy? So I can recommend it.
Ili za kuanga chuma, za kuanga hizo chains. Then after drilling all holes, then tunahang chains zote. Then sasa tunafabrikatia mbao chini zote venye unaona tunapima tunafabrikatia chini. Then sasa tunazipandisha through workmanship. Then sasa tunazifunga na screws and some other drills. Kutoka hapo tunafabricate hizi matazia unaona za barrel na hizi zingine za GIs, then tunazipandisha juu.
This venture is backed by a strong marketing on different social platforms like Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok.
We give our customers a field tour if they want to, because we want a field tour. Like we take them a field tour. So we take them to the project that we have done, like in this barber shop.
Paul, however, acknowledges the key challenge being the mundane trade mindset of instant delivery, which doesn't apply in this field that requires time in the creative process.
So it's very difficult to get a person who really appreciates that artistic, who can appreciate the process of art. Like this thing will take, you can take 2 weeks to a month to build this thing, and the person is expecting that we have instant delivery. So the key challenge, that is one key challenge. The other challenge is the finding the market, because you see, even there are popular websites, what do you call them, the e-commerce.
From log lights to lamp lights to barrel lights, this awesome vicinity is a finished product of Paul's creativity. Reporting for KBC Channel 1, I'm Ian Musa.
Thank you for staying with Channel 1. We continue the conversation on Kenya's digital agenda. Now, Mary, I'd like to hear from you. We have risks in the cyberspace, and we have seen the numbers going up over the years in terms of the risks that Kenya has faced and the region as well. What is Kenya doing to ensure that its cyberspace is safe and secure?
Thank you so much, Betty. Of course, with the increase in use of technology and pushing everything online in terms of even the government services, the digital jobs, our citizens going online, government has to be deliberate in ensuring that we secure the online space for our citizens. And therefore, as government, we have put in place. Currently, if you look at the Ministry of ICT, it has increased its establishment. It currently established a directorate called Cybersecurity and Audit. And therefore, with this institution establishment of such a directorate, its mandate is to look at the security of the cyberspace in Kenya. And there are several teams that have been put in place that are continuously and daily, hourly monitoring the cyberspace. And we have a report that is produced daily. And government has also been deliberate that we don't have to be reactive. We want to be proactive. And that's why we are putting, and currently we are procuring security gadgets, security softwares to ensure that we are secure. Number two, we are also doing a lot of skilling, because not only to the government officers, we are also doing education and communication on the safest way to use the online systems and technologies, because you know the weakest point of any system is a human being. It is the way I use. And sometimes our citizens are going online without knowing which way can I safeguard myself. Even very, very techno-savvy people are also being attacked just because you clicked a link. Myself, I was attacked the other day, and people are like, Mary, you are really a techie. How comes? You fail play of this. So it is a lot of education, a lot of awareness on what is my role as the user. And of course now government is coming in to put measures to ensure that systems that go online are also secure, that you can stop any intrusion before it reaches the customer. So therefore, a lot of skilling, a lot of retooling, and of course investing into a lot of tools, softwares, hardwares to ensure that we can be secure enough.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, where we are coming from.
Yeah.
Also, government is learning. Mm-hmm. From the time I was in government and we started embracing technology, we used to run and put systems in place, but nobody thought about security. Mm. But now we have inculcated a culture of security first. Mm-hmm. That you think about security before even you can roll out any solution, any technology. And so therefore, we are positioning ourselves at a level where we are sure that solutions going online are secure, are protecting government, are protecting the citizenry.
Right. There have been reports released over the years about cybersecurity, and one thing that comes out is that for SMEs and businesses, some of them do not really invest in cybersecurity. It's like the third thing or the fourth thing they think about. It's not a priority. So, Mercy, under the organization that you deal with, how do you ensure that SMEs are actually prioritizing online safety of their data and all that?
That's true. I think the first key thing is to create the awareness of why it is important. For example, if they are working so hard for example, if they're running a butchery shop, for example, every day they're waking up, opening the shop and selling, but you realize that their financial data, or actually their accounts, are being hacked, then now they'll take it more seriously, because actually the pain is hitting where their pocket is. And so for us, we've been trying to create a lot of awareness. So we do a lot of info webinar sessions, and we also do it on Twitter Space, we do it on Zoom and different other platforms, or even during the physical convenings, where we educate them on the importance of that. Now, because we understand that business people always just think about the bottom line. They don't want to hear so many theoretical trainings like what Mary has mentioned. They don't want to go into the introduction and the definitions. No. For them, it's about the practicality application into their business. And so that's what we try to do. We bring different case studies. We bring different other successful founders that have been able to integrate cybersecurity and other emerging technologies in their own business. And then what we try to do is also partner with other corporations, like global partners or tech companies that can actually give subsidies or low-cost access to these different tools and software to enable these SMEs to actually safeguard their business. And that's what we do. The other thing that also we are trying to do now is also looking at AI. I know you're talking about cybersecurity, but also AI comes in closely with cybersecurity as well. We are going to be hosting at least 5 county dialogues where we're going to be discussing about the national AI strategy, which is still part of the digital economy. And that also is a way of showcasing different case models that these businesses can actually adopt in their own business, but at the same time also having a pool of experts that they can reach out to at a very low cost advisory rate, for example. So those are some of the things that we're trying to do in terms of, 1, creating awareness, 2, providing this kind of experts that can work with them closely. And those are our members that we have also trained and have been, and also based in the different counties, but also looking at convenings whereby we can have physical discussions or physical meetings to discuss about how best can we improve our business? And it's not on a theoretical point of view. It's actually using another SME or a startup as a case study. And then now the trainer and the coach, what we'll do is that they'll come up with a development plan for every business, whereby they can start working towards having those cybersecurity measures in place and also budget for that. So one key thing about cybersecurity is that you also have to create an allocated budget. So yes, you pay staff, you pay the rent, you pay for utilities. You also need to have an allocation for digital tools and also the security. A simple thing is just an antivirus, right, on your laptop or your phone if you're using that to trade. Another thing also is also looking at VPN so that you protect yourself when you're going to public Wi-Fi hotspots, which also you have to be very careful. You cannot be just be in a cafe and you're busy transferring money from Mercy to John and assume it's going to reach the internet consumer. You also have to have that. There's so many stories of people who sell cars online, and you find that Kenyan buyers, they go onto the website, but really it's actually a phished website, So what the hackers do is that they just change one letter in the URL and you're suddenly in another one. So there you are entering your credit card information, or you're swiping your debit card, or entering your details, paying by M-Pesa, and you've actually lost more than 1 million Kenya shillings just by going to the wrong website. So there's a lot of education that even the SMEs and startups need to do to their consumers to protect them, but also that is still part of capacity building as a whole as well. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe just wanted to add
please.
something on the issue of what government is doing in terms of protecting, of course, our citizen in the cyberspace. There's the Data Protection Commission, and there are laws and regulations, and they are currently coming up with systems to ensure that, of course, they cannot be able to be a watchdog to see who is violating your data online. But what we are saying, we want to invest onto solutions and tools that can empower you as a citizen, that you will always get alerts whoever wants to access your data or misuse your data or misuse your login credentials. So I think the Data Protection Commission is really coming handy in also argumenting what the cybersecurity department and teams and are doing to really protect us.
Yes. Thank you for that, Okwiri. When you're bringing in the investors into Konza, of course, seeing that it's a tech space, cybersecurity must be one of the things top of their mind when they're coming in.
Yes.
How do you ensure that they're feeling safe, and what infrastructure have you put in place to ensure that the area there is cyber secure?
Yeah, thank you, Betty, for that question. What we've done as a government is to adopt or leverage on cloud computing. I can give an example. Initially, if you look at the transformation of data storage, when we were growing up, I think there were the floppy disk, then they came the CD, and then we had the flash disk, and now, then after that, we had the servers. Now we are having a cloud computing environment which is more secure and scalable, and it provides an opportunity to enhance cybersecurity because you realize that hosting data on premise is susceptible to cyber attacks because that data is not secure as it is.
Okay.
So as a government,
allow me please to interject you. My director is telling us to take ODM members of parliament who are addressing the press. Let's just listen into those proceedings.
Considerations. We wish to reiterate that the position of the party, as communicated by our Secretary General, who is Edwin Sifuna, earlier this week, that indeed the decision by our four comrades were personal and not as a result of any decision passed by the party. We call on the party leadership to move with speed and replace them. That is the end of the statement. I want to finish by saying that ODM party is like an army 4 of our generals and the brigadiers have deserted duty and gone to sleep with our enemy. It has no direction from the commander-in-chief, who is the Raila Amolo Odinga. The party leader was abroad on a private visit, only to come back and find 4 generals and a brigadier have deserted duty and joined the opposite camp. So we are saying this is not the position of the party. Such monumental decision affecting the history, the principles, the ideologies of the party must have been passed by the parliamentary group meeting. I want to give my colleagues to add on what I've said, and I'll leave room for questions.
As a party, as elected members of the party, we want to reiterate and want to be very clear that ODM is an organized party and has got very elaborate structures and elaborate decision-making process as enshrined in its constitution. ODM has always been people-centered, has always practiced social democracy, where everybody matters and where the welfare of the people of Kenya matters. ODM is ODM what it is because of those long-held values. Our colleagues who have left to join government have left, I want to reiterate again to repeat, on their own volition. The ODM party is not in a coalition government with the KK party. ODM will remain in parliament as the minority party and will continue to offer oversight the KK government and expose all the ills, all the corruption, so that we continue to build and enhance this constitution and enhance our integrity, accountability. We just hope our colleagues who have joined the government are not going to soil the good name of ODM, because we don't see much that's going to come out of this KK government. We do not know exactly what they are going to do. So as a party,
those are members of parliament in the ODM party just giving their views on the appointment of some of their members to the executive. Those appointments were made yesterday by President William Ruto, of course, pending vetting by Parliament. We shall be following up on that story and giving you detailed report much later in our subsequent bulletins. In studio, we want to continue with, or rather to close, the conversation on Kenya's digital agenda, and I'd like to give my panelists each at least a minute to give us their closing remarks. I'll start with you, Mercy.
Yes, so thank you so much for that. If you look at the current situation in Kenya, we have food insecurity, we have climate change, and you've just seen the disastrous effects of the floods and even the upcoming drought and many other issues. And then also looking at the access to affordable energy. That's a key concern for the startups and the SMEs. And also looking at the access to finance, which is not only for the startups and SMEs, but even for the innovation hubs that are working very closely with these startups and SMEs. There's an opportunity to leverage digital technology to be able to cut across and serve all these diverse sectors, to one, create the jobs that we need, two, also looking at safe and decent jobs that will be available for the youth, the marginalized people, and different groups, that they can actually have a way of earning an income that can actually uplift their livelihoods. But most importantly, even for the government, it's an opportunity to bring in the private sector through public-private partnerships and even other engagements, looking at e-procurement, whereby you can provide these opportunities and create a huge market base for the Kenyan startups and SMEs. So for us as ASEC, we are here to support and work very closely with government. We already have a standing MOU with Konza Technopolis, and we'll be bringing in our expertise, our network of investors, partners, and even market and trade actors, just to ensure that we ensure that the smart city really has that potential to create multiple jobs, but at the same time also market opportunities for them. So for me, just to say that we are definitely on the right track, and also having Mary here from the government, it really does have a backing. When you have government also being proactive in that, it also gives confidence to the private sector to invest back into the Kenyan economy. But for sure, it's definitely a good discussion to continue having moving forward.
Thank you very much, and I agree we must continue with this conversation.
Yes.
Zofiri?
Thank you very much, Betty, for having us today. I would like to take this opportunity to invite our countrymen, our researchers, our scientists, innovators, and people working in the innovation ecosystem that we will be hosting the International Association of Science Parks and Areas of Innovation Conference on 24th to 27th September. As Konza Technopolis and Ministry of ICT and Digital Economy, we'd like to invite all of you to the conference that will bring together over 350 science parks into the country, the global players, the global researchers, financiers. It's a conference that is going to transform our country in a big way, in as far as we are looking at the impact of the conference, of the days to come to the conference, and very many years after the conference, in as far as how many startups shall have been born from the conference, and how many startups and innovations shall have been commercialized. So welcome to the ISP Conference 2024.
Thank you very much. And finally, Mary?
Thank you so much, Betty. We are glad that you had us today. And really my parting shot is that we need to partner together, because our vision is that we position Kenya as a top offshoring destination in Africa and globally. And therefore, we cannot do this alone. And that's why government has really embarked in ensuring we have the open door policy, where we are welcoming the MSMEs, we are welcoming the partners, we are welcoming private sector to come. Let's have a conversation on how to move our country to the level that we want it to be, and also to really tap into the quality workforce that we have. And therefore we are saying that government is in the forefront to ensure we market our digital talent that is not well tapped, and to ensure that we also leverage on the infrastructure project that government has really embarked into, and also the skilling and retooling of our employees and also the citizen, to ensure that we can be able to thrive in the digital economy, and also to ensure equitable distribution. And that's why we are not only, we are in fact in our plans, we are not putting Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu in the forefront. We are moving into the counties that have never been tapped, because there are talents that are there and have not been tapped.
Right.
So I want to welcome all our partners, our private sector. Let us collaborate, let us partner to move Kenya forward.
Partnering to move Kenya forward, especially in the digital front. Thank you very much for joining us. I have been speaking with Mary Karema, who is the Secretary, E-Government and Digital Economy, as well as John Paul Okwiri, the CEO, Konza Technopolis Development Authority, and Mercy Kimalat, who is the CEO, Startups and SMEs Enablers Kenya. And we have been talking about Kenya's digital agenda, the transformation journey, where we are and where we are going. And the future does seem bright. That is all on BizCheck this particular morning. Kasichana Masha is on standby to come to you with Kurunzi Mashinani. My name is Betty Kiptum. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. Bye-bye.
We're coming live to you from the port offices at the Kenya Ports Authority, and today we are privileged to have the KPA Managing Director, Captain William Ruto, who's just going to tell us about the progress of what is happening at the port of Mombasa. Welcome, sir, to the set, and welcome to Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to be here. So today we would really like to understand what is happening at this particular port. So to start us off, we would like to know what exactly are you doing? What is fueling the coming of these vessels that have continued to call at this particular port?
No, thank you very much, and welcome to Kenya Ports Authority. We are really happy to host you here today, even for you to see the kind of operations we do in this port. This port, we pride ourselves as the gateway to East and Central Africa. So what do we mean by saying gateway to East and Central Africa? It means we are not only serving Kenya, but we are serving the region again at large. We serve 8 transit countries from this port. So it's not only Kenya, but the region at large. What you are asking me about this maiden call that vessels have been coming here and what has made them to come is, number one, is a strategic location of this port. The port of Mombasa is strategically, it is within the Indian Ocean, and it is within the center of, you see the eastern part of Indian Ocean, where the center. Now vessels coming from far east all the way to here, this is the center. And based on what has been happening on the Red Sea and everything, you see now more vessels coming here, and also being strategic of infrastructure, where we are seated now. Some 4 or 5 years ago, this was part of the sea. So the whole of this area was reclaimed. And the kind of the investment that government has allowed us to invest to allow us to expand. Normally, we always say that you build capacity before the demand. And the capacity that you are seeing is what is making all these ships to call in this port. Because one, the port of Mombasa, we have invested heavily in terms of infrastructure. We've invested in terms of modernization of our equipment. All this equipment that we are seeing just behind us are all new. And the efficiency. So what makes these ships come here is, number one, is the efficiency. Number two, we have also something known as a fixed berthing window. Fixed berthing window is everybody is able to know my ship is coming on Monday and on Tuesday I'm supposed to be alongside. The issue of waiting time we've reduced to bare minimum. Even as we speak today, for us in support of Mombasa, we are waiting for ships. Okay? But it doesn't mean that our productivity is low. Our productivity is very high. And even based on what we are doing now and how things look like now, we are very happy. We are quite okay. So all these things that you are seeing is, number one, as I've said, is the infrastructure. Number two is the equipment modernization, the strategic location that the port is, the human capital that we have here, you see, is driving also the efficiency again. Because a ship that comes here wants to know that if I go to the port of Mombasa, within 2-3 days, vessel is completed. So this is what is really driving all these new maiden calls. Also our competitive pricing again. This port, since 2012, we've never reviewed our tariff. The tariff which we were using in 2012 and the tariff that we're using now. So that is also what is also driving. And also what is also making is that when all these ships see that there is efficiency, there is stability in terms of the pricing, the competitive edge is quite okay. So if you compare within the region now, if somebody was to ask you today, and not only the region, globally, what is the waiting time in Mombasa? We are competing with ports like Singapore, like Rotterdam. We are more or less on the same level. If today, I can tell you, the waiting time in Singapore is between 2 to 3 days. The waiting time this week in Mombasa is 0. So it's really, we are doing so well.
Okay, so what goes to you people getting the vessels coming to this particular port of Mombasa? What do you do to get these vessels to make those maiden calls to this particular port?
It's our marketing strategy. We've really marketed this port. The feasibility that everybody is able to see what is Mombasa doing. If you go to our website, you are able to see that what we have in terms of equipment, in terms of productivity, in terms of what. So the aggressive marketing that we continue doing always as KPA is also what is making us to be competitive. And again, the driving factor, the port of Mombasa is connected with an SGR from here all the way to Nairobi. The northern corridor from here, the infrastructure that the government has invested in terms of the road is also supporting and also creating and allowing so many people to use the port of Mombasa. Shipping lines, our major clients, and we have a very good cooperative, engagements frequently that we engage. For me, the most important thing is my clients. You see several shipping lines in this port. The top 10 shipping lines operate in this port. We have connectivity from here to major ports, about 80 ports in the world that are connected. We have direct link from here to Asia directly. We have our connectivity from here also to Europe. Despite the Red Sea challenges, is more efficient than anywhere else. So I think that is what makes also these people do what we do. We have also engagements with our customers. We have the Friday stakeholders meeting. We have monthly meeting or quarterly meetings with the shipping lines again to listen to the customer. What does the customer want? What do they want? This is what we want. We have also several, we have normal discussion with them, and also we support them. And we work as a team, and we treat them as our partners. So really, that's the most important thing that the shipping line would always wish, that today if I go to the port of Mombasa, are they willing to support me? Are they willing to sit with me? Are they willing to listen to my challenges? Are they willing to accommodate me? So basically, that's what we do.
It is clear that you've been a very busy port. And going by the data that you have for the first half data, it is you'll be surpassing the 1.8 million TEUs. So what is fueling this growth?
As I have said, what is fueling this growth is, you see, if you have a brand name, if you have a brand, everybody will always want to be associated with that brand. And Mombasa Port now, and in terms of all this modernization that we've been having now, everybody is willing to work with us. If you see our growth now, as you have said, our projection looks very good. And we continue marketing the port, we continue engaging the shipping lines, we continue supporting them, we continue treating them as partner. Once you treat your customer as a partner, then you are all able to work. Currently, as we speak right now, if you see, our transit market has grown. Where if you see where we were last year and where we are this year in terms of the transit market, now transit market is nearly overlapping the local market. You see, we were working. I was working out today, and
My name is Patrick Odongo Kongo, Kenya Sevens rugby player. I'm a winger, and I can say this has been the best season so far since my rugby career. This is my first season, and I've had the best of it, and I'm ready for the task at Olympics, being my first Olympic, and I'm ready to go there and get a gold medal here for my country and myself here. Starting my season in Zimbabwe, being the top scorer in Zimbabwe, and then my second game at the Challenger Series in Dubai, also there being the top scorer, and missing one tournament and coming back and being the overall top scorer of the tournament. I can say that has been the best season so far, and I'm really excited to be part of this team. We build each other in this team, and I'm ready for the task in Olympics and ready to represent the country.
France welcomes the world for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games